So for a while now, I've been watching videos from the RetroBlasting and Toy Polloi channels. It's been fun watching them restore and fix up some old toys, especially things that I remember from my childhood. I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. And then in the last few weeks, I started listening to the Collector's Galaxy podcast, which is all about Star Wars toys. And I had a big collection when I was a kid, which, like most people, I sold off back in the early 2000s for me to do the money with some other things. And listening to those guys, they have a lot of fun, and it kind of made me want to own back a little piece of that childhood for fun, especially because I kind of like to watch the restorations. It's fun to see everybody fix things, bring things back to life. And a couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to get back a few vintage Star Wars characters. I managed to score 6 vintage Star Wars Kenner characters for $30 at my local comic shop. And among them was the main man, Darth Vader here. And he came exactly as you see. He's in really good shape. He wasn't dirty. Just a little bit of marking here and there. The main thing that he had going against him was no lightsaber, of course, because they always go, and no vinyl cape. So I thought this would be a fun project to fix up and put on my shelf for display with a few other things, with the goal being, like the videos I've been watching from RetroBlasting and Toy Polloi, try and do it on the cheap. It's not something I want to spend a lot of money on. I don't want it to be bad, but I also don't want it to cost $1 million here, there, and everywhere for parts. So I'm going to take the route of just trying to come up with a few solutions to make these characters presentable again where they need fixed, and I'm not going for complete restoration for sale or grading or anything like that. Just where they need a little love, make them nice, and try and come up with something. So here's what I'm going to do for the Dark Lord of the Sith to make him ready to address the troops. So to address the missing lightsaber problem, there are always a couple of ways that you can go. You can go on the internet, of course, and go to places like eBay and buy a vintage saber replacement for Darth's arm, or you can buy a repro. I'd never done that before, so when I went on, I checked it out, and of course, like most people will know, buying parts or these figures or anything's really pricey these days because they are what they are. They're Star Wars toys, and they're vintage, and they're collectible. But like I said, I kind of wanted to do this as easy and as pain-free and as cheaply as possible. So my solution was, I've been doing a little model building lately, and I have in my desk stash this pack of 2mm styrene rod. I'd bought an assortment of these for different sizes for different model kits, and after trying them all out, the 2mm will fit perfectly inside the hole where the original lightsaber goes. And one of the things about the original lightsabers was I love them because of what they are. They are what we had to play with, but I never liked the fact that they were stubby and that they had that long, thin piece on the end that always broke off, which made your lightsaber even shorter, so you had less of a lightsaber and more of a light stick, somewhere along the lines of a baton by the time you were done with it. So my solution was to take a piece of that 2mm and take a red Sharpie to it, basically, give it some coloring, and I measured off a piece that, if I measure it, is approximately 3 inches long, is what I came up with. So, colored the stick, left a little bit on the end, which I'll actually color black, because as you can see, it runs right up inside the arm peg. You can try to make it even to where it's in the slot where the original was, and what I got was this. Of course, it's not original. It's not the way the figure looked, but like I said, I'm just doing this for my own display purposes and just to have a little fun, and I think it's pretty cool. It actually looks like a lightsaber. Of course, the Sharpie's a little weak. If you rub it too much, it will come off, but I might throw a clear coat on there just to seal it. Or you can always just take your Sharpie and touch it back up. If you were going to play with this a lot, it would wear off, but like I said, you can always just recolor it. So that is my solution for Darth Vader's lightsaber, and I think it came out pretty cool. So I've cut out my template, and here's how it came out. Pretty nice. I actually like using the X-Acto blades better than trying to cut this out freehand. I've had a lot of practice with cutting on the line, making paper models the last few years, so it makes it a little easier. Plus I can hold this flat on the table as I make my cuts around. I think it gives a little bit better result if you're picky about that, which I kind of am. The holes I cut out with the X-Acto blade, I just slowly poked around there, and there's just a little bit of unevenness on the inside. Of course, you've done it freehand, so that's kind of the way it goes. So now that we've done that, sorry for the chair creaking, by the way, that's the sound you've been hearing. Let's see how this came out. Now there it is. Of course, this is my tracing of it, and I took a little bit of liberty. I wanted to make sure the cape came down pretty far, just like it did in the movie, and I gave it a high arch, kind of like you see in the first promotional parts, because on most Vaders, it's some of that material. Of course, he didn't have a hood, but his cape folded over, and I wanted to give it a bit of heft. So by giving it a little higher cut in the back, of course you can work with this, it makes it a nice fold over for how you see a lot of the vintage Kenner figures, and I think it still looks pretty nice for a $4 piece. And you will get, if you buy one of those tubes, that's a lot of this vinyl, so you can do a lot with it. You can make a lot of these capes. Of course, there aren't a lot of black cape figures left in the line, but there are other things you could do with it, of course, and it's only $4, and they're found anywhere. Like I said, I found mine at Dollar General. So let's take that out of the way, and I went ahead and painted the end of the sword black so that when it goes up the old arm, not noticeable. And this is a easy share camera, so the video quality is only so good, but you can see that was white before, and now it's just black. So what we wind up with is one vintage Kenner Darth Vader with a new robe and a more in scale lightsaber. And I think that's going to look pretty neat on the shelf with the other few figures that I bought. I'm going to be making a couple more of these videos as I go along, just for fun. There are a lot of them out there. I'm no expert, but I just want to join in on the fun. Like I said, I've been excited watching the videos, especially from the guys over at RetroBlasting and the Toy Polloi videos. I love his stuff. He does a lot of neat fixes on the Kenner things, and listening to the guys over at the Star Wars Collectors Galaxy. Just time to get back into the feel of it a little bit. It's nice to have a few of these figures from my childhood, put them back on the shelf, make them look nice. There are a couple things I forgot to mention. The sword, the lightsaber, the styrene, when I cut it, I took a little file and I rounded the end off, so it actually does look like a lightsaber on the end. So we did that, and I did not wash the figure. It was clean when I got it. It's Darth Vader. It didn't have any nicks or anything like that that I had to mess with, so I thought about putting a little dab of paint on maybe the control panel on his chest. I probably won't do that. It looks really nice the way it is. So that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching.